James Horton. Topic for now and for this evening is going to be called Would You Marry You? People are always uh, interested in the marriage or who they would like to marry or what the person would look like and how the person would treat them or how they would treat this other person in the whole framework of marrying someone else. But the question today is, would you marry you? Right? Like, would you really marry yourself? Um, it's said that people are always looking for that somewhat perfect relationship, someone to be to them, but they're not being to themselves. Right? They say if you're not being all you can be to yourself, if you're not doing all you can do for yourself, then why are you trying to pawn yourself off on someone else? It says one must take some time to do some homework on self. And when you pass the test of self-acceptance and self-love for self, that perfect someone has walked right through the door. Uh, we must be able to fall in love with us. Why would you not want to fall in love with you and expect someone else to want to fall in love with something that you're not willing to fall in love with? So we got to work on this thing, man. We got to be in love with ourselves, man. We got to be like nurturing ourselves, treating ourselves decent, making the package real healthy. So you'll be reputable, man. You'll be one of the main contenders, man, when it comes to getting out there in the world and it's come to being somewhere and meeting some special somebody at the right time in the right place, right? So, like, would you marry you? Would you marry you? Would you marry also your issues that you bring to a relationship? Would you marry those? Because that's part of the package. You know, would you want to bring those issues to the relationship when it's that time, when you say you're ready? Would you, uh, your faultiness, your anger, your insecurities, would you marry that? Because it can really, really get on someone's nerve. And it can cause someone, if you do connect to them, to want to escape. They want to climb out the window when you sleep. They don't want to set no alarms off or nothing like that, but they definitely wouldn't want to stay in an unhealthy space. No one wants to be in an unhealthy space, and we shouldn't expect people to want to be in an unhealthy space. Even, you know, ourselves, we wouldn't want to be in an unhealthy space ourselves, and something just real terrible or something, or be with someone that, at nighttime when you sleep, pull knives out on you and rubber around your neck and debate on if they're going to stab you or not. We don't want to be into that. But so you ask yourself, would you marry you? Because I've noticed that many of us, right, before and even after the man in the mirror, which is talking about the woman in the mirror too, the reflection of us in the mirror, before Michael Jackson put that out, it's like, would you marry you? I mean, like, people are like, man, it's hard, man, it's so easy. Excuse me, I put my glasses on, look a little professional. It's so easy to look at somebody else's picture, man. We always focusing outside the picture. It's always focused on some outside of the framework of the picture. We're looking at what you're doing and what he's doing and she's doing, but we're not looking at self. We're not examining self. It is almost like we're afraid to look at ourselves. It's more easier to look at the lake over there, or look at the mountains, or look off the mountains. But it seems to be so difficult to stand up and look at ourselves, man, and look ourselves over and polish ourselves, wash some of that dirt off ourselves, some of that old dirt, all that messed up that we was once involved in, man. We gotta change that, man. We gotta change that. Sometimes, man, you gotta hug yourself, right? And sometimes you just gotta love on yourself, right? And sometimes you gotta cheer for yourself, even when no one else is cheering for you. I know what that's like, right? I know what that's like. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of it may have you know, those that I expect to cheer for me. A lot of it may have to do with guilt. You know, it's a trip when you fall down, right? Or you once thought you were so loved by your loved one, and you fall, you know, and those people and those loved ones or those associates don't realize that it's a test going on, that you got picked to fall down. It's a test on how real are you gonna be when your friends fall, right? How true to the game are you gonna stay when someone you claim to love falls down, right? The question is gonna be, the test is gonna be, are you gonna pick them up? Are you gonna spit on them? Are you gonna step on them when they're down, right? But then, like, a lot of people will fail the test. You'll be down, and they'll assume that they have the mind of God. And they'll assume that there's no way you can get up, you know, and they'll make sure they'll participate on you not getting up by not helping you up. So when you're down like that, and they say, "Ooh, he ain't gonna never. Oh, he done went too far." But what's too far? And the question is, what's too far for God? You know, a lot of times we think that we have the mind of God, that if we saw somebody addicted to drugs, we saw somebody homeless, we saw somebody broke, we saw someone penniless, that we'll say things like, that's what they get. And we'll say things like, I'll never give that person $2 or $5 or $10. We'll never do it. And some people just are shameful, man, when you do get up. They're shameful when you do get up, and they don't know what to say to you. They want to say things like, I've heard this maybe once or twice, maybe a few times. Man, I remember when you was down. Remember how I used to look out for you? And I was like, I'll be like, what does that mean? When somebody says, do I remember? Of course I remember. But they want me to remember that they used to look out for me. And I was like, you talking about, you gave me 50 cents or something? I wonder, is that person talking about they sold me a piece of crack for $4? I wonder what that means. You looked out for me. You took me somewhere and bought me something to eat? No. You let me sleep in your garage so I wouldn't have to sleep outside? No. So these things, man. Excuse me 1 second. Let me just get this. I'll be right back with you. Hello? Who's calling?